To my VTuber wife's secret, the day my world flipped upside down. Hey everyone, Leonard here. You know, I'm 26 years old and been with my wife Lisa for 5 years. We've been married for a year now. Before we got hitched, she had this tiny YouTube channel where she'd stream occasionally, hiding behind a 2D avatar while playing games. It was pretty low-key, like 2,000 subscribers. But then, boom, she said something that went viral, and people who hadn't even noticed her before were suddenly fans. Now she's got a silver play button and over 320,000 subscribers. We're pretty stable. Lisa's a makeup artist by day, but by night, she transforms into a VTuber and streams to thousands. It's a lot, but she seems to love it all. I'm a gym teacher at a fancy all-boys school, or maybe you could say a fitness trainer. The place is kind of prestigious. They really focus on physical development. And for these guys, it's not just about workouts, it's part of building character and skills. They take their sports seriously: basketball, badminton, volleyball. It's all about their future careers, since the school has some killer athletic teams. One day I was in my office reading up on some international sporting events when this senior student bursts in, all out of breath. "Mr. Leonard, in the gym there's a fight. 2 guys are going at it." My eyebrows went up, and I knew something was up. I grabbed my stuff and hurried out. I walked into the gym, and there were 2 students, all red in the face, pulling at each other's shirts. Everyone else was just standing there, tense and excited. "Break it up," I yelled, pushing between them. "I can't stand him anymore, Mr. Leonard," one guy shouted, still staring at the other, his grip on the shirt tight. "You don't know what he's like, Mr. Leonard," the other guy yelled back, his voice breaking with anger. But just as I thought I was about to settle a serious brawl, they both looked at each other and burst into laughter. I was completely stunned. Suddenly, another group of seniors came rushing in from the back, carrying a big cake. "Happy birthday, Mr. Leonard," they all yelled together. I was speechless for a few seconds, totally bewildered. It was all a prank to get me down there. "What the you guys?" I laughed, confused but touched. A student grinned and stepped forward. "We knew it was your birthday today, so the whole class planned the surprise. Hope we didn't freak you out." I looked around, taking in the cake, the smiles, the pure joy on their faces. It felt good, really good. "You really got me." Once I got over the initial shock, everyone started singing happy birthday with gusto. The cake with its glowing candles was pushed in front of me. I felt an overwhelming wave of emotion. Even though it was a small, unexpected party, I felt their sincerity. "What's your wish, Mr. Leonard?" a student urged, with a bright smile. I smiled, closed my eyes for a second, and didn't say it out loud. But in my heart, I just wanted them to succeed and be happy. Then I blew out the candles as everyone cheered and clapped. Another student patted my shoulder. "Mr. Leonard, we know you don't make a big deal about your birthday, but we wanted to do something. You're a great teacher, and we really respect you." I couldn't hide the smile on my face, my emotions overflowing. "Thank you guys, I really don't know what to say. I appreciate it." Then everyone came up to congratulate me. One mischievous student said, "Mr. Leonard, we're giving you a pass on the running today. Maybe you can be a little easier on us tomorrow." I burst out laughing, shaking my head. "Not that easy, but maybe I'll reconsider." One girl said, "You really inspire us, Mr. Leonard. Since the first time I met you, I started loving sports even more. You really helped us grow up." Their well wishes just kept coming, each one warming my heart more. We shared the cake, laughing and joking, creating a fun and relaxed atmosphere. I couldn't believe a normal workday could become such a memorable moment. After school, I drove home happily, whistling all the way. My head was still buzzing from the surprise birthday party. I walked into the house, jumping with joy, feeling more energized than ever. Lisa was ironing clothes, focused on each crease. She looked up as I came in, and immediately noticed my unusual cheerfulness. "You seem happy. What's got you so excited?" Lisa asked, curious. I grinned, walking over to her. "You won't believe it. My students threw me a surprise birthday party today. I had no idea. They even brought a cake." Lisa paused, her eyes changing instantly. A flicker of confusion crossed her face, but it quickly shifted into a forced smile. I didn't notice much, just continued gushing about the party. "But I'm still curious. I wonder what you got me." I winked, playfully full of anticipation. Lisa immediately became tense. Her eyes darted around as if trying to remember something. So then, for a moment, I could see the confusion turn into worry. She had forgotten my birthday. But instead of admitting it, Lisa forced a smile, trying to sound confident. "Oh, of course I got you something. Everything's ready. Just go take a shower first, I'll take care of the rest." I didn't suspect a thing, responding with an enthusiastic smile. "Really? You know how to make a surprise. All right, I'll shower right now." I turned and went into the bathroom, completely unaware of the tension in Lisa's voice. As the door shut behind me, Lisa's heart started racing with anxiety. She knew she didn't have much time, but she had to stall for at least a few minutes to get things ready. While I was happily showering and humming, a daring idea popped into Lisa's mind. She quickly grabbed a small rope from the closet and quietly walked to the bathroom door. Carefully and quickly, she tied the doorknob from the outside, wrapping the rope around the handle to make sure I couldn't open it right away. Then, Lisa connected the other end of the rope to the railing near the stairs to secure it. "Hopefully this will hold him off long enough," Lisa mumbled, feeling panicked but determined to do something. With things temporarily under control, Lisa grabbed her keys and rushed out of the house, sprinting to the nearest bakery. Her eyes quickly scanned the glass display, flitting over the rows of beautiful cakes. "That one." She pointed to a white cake with decorative flowers in the corner, a glimmer of hope lighting up her eyes. The baker smiled, but Lisa didn't have time to wait. "Please put happy birthday to my love on this cake. Hurry, I'm in a rush," she said, her voice laced with urgency and worry. The baker looked at her, a little surprised, but quickly got to work. She opened the display case, carefully took out the cake, and started writing on it. Lisa stood there, fidgeting, her eyes glued to the baker's every movement, every second feeling like an eternity. "It's done, ma'am." The baker presented the fully decorated cake to Lisa. Lisa let out a sigh of relief, offering a grateful smile. "Thank you so much," she said, grabbing the cake, paying quickly, and rushing out of the bakery at top speed, hoping that everything would go smoothly when she got home, and that I'd still be stuck in the bathroom. Lisa was panting as she reached the house, trying to stay calm to keep things as natural as possible. She quickly opened the fridge and placed the cake box inside, pretending it had been there all along. As she closed the fridge door, she heard a knock and my voice calling from the bathroom. "Lisa, where are you? Is the door stuck or something? I can't open it." Knowing she didn't have much time, Lisa raced to the bathroom door, her hands trembling as she untangled the rope from the handle. She tried to be as quick as possible, but also needed to make sure there were no traces left behind that would make me suspicious. As I opened the door and stepped out, confused, I glanced at Lisa, then at the rope in her hand. "Why didn't you answer me? And what's this rope doing here?" I asked, frowning, trying to figure out what was going on. Lisa, still keeping her cool, despite her racing heart, gave a light laugh and said, "Oh, the iron was acting up, so I had to go next door to get help. That's why I didn't hear you. And this rope, I was measuring it for the art project. You know how my new ideas are always a surprise." I looked at her for a few seconds, still a little doubtful, but then shrugged, accepting her explanation. "Oh, okay. Did you fix the iron?" "Yes, all done," Lisa responded quickly, forcing a smile. "That's good. I thought something was wrong." I laughed, then leaned down to kiss her forehead before walking into the living room. Lisa breathed a sigh of relief, telling herself she had gotten out of that sticky situation. Now, she just had to prepare the final steps for the surprise she'd accidentally forgotten about earlier. Once we had both calmed down, Lisa smiled with more confidence and looked at me. "Hey, can you grab me a juice from the fridge?" I, still enjoying the post-shower relaxation, nodded and walked to the fridge. When I opened it, my eyes lit up, seeing the cake box sitting neatly inside. Surprised and excited, I turned back to Lisa, my eyes beaming like a kid getting a long-awaited gift. "Lisa, when did you bake this cake for me?" I asked, my voice bubbling with delight. Lisa gave a soft smile, trying to hide the tension inside, and walked closer to me. She nodded, her eyes filled with tenderness as she looked at me. "Happy birthday, Leonard." I couldn't believe it. Happiness and emotion flooded my heart. I stepped forward, pulling Lisa into my arms, feeling so lucky to have her by my side. "Thank you. I really don't know what to say. You're always so thoughtful." Lisa sighed with relief, still feeling a pang of guilt for almost forgetting my birthday. But seeing the joy in my eyes, she knew she had managed to salvage the situation and still make me happy. After Lisa brought the cake out and placed it on the table, I was touched. The flickering candles on the cake cast a warm glow. Lisa stood beside me, smiling, and I knew this moment was truly special. "Make a wish and don't forget to blow out the candles," Lisa said softly, her eyes gentle. I clasped my hands, closed my eyes, and took a deep breath. In that moment, all I thought about were the best things. I wished for us to always be happy, healthy, and by each other's sides, no matter what life threw our way. Then I opened my eyes and blew out the candles as Lisa clapped. The whole room seemed filled with laughter and joy. Lisa grabbed a knife and started cutting the cake into small slices. "Let's eat," Lisa said joyfully, handing me a piece of cake covered in frosting. I took a bite, smiling. "It's delicious. Thank you for doing all of this. This birthday is truly special." We sat down, talking as we ate. The atmosphere was warm and cozy, filled with happy smiles and affectionate looks that spoke louder than any words. We didn't need big gifts or elaborate parties, just this moment together, sharing simple joy, and I felt like all my wishes had come true. That night, Lisa decided not to stream as usual. She wanted to make up for it, especially after almost forgetting my birthday. We sat on the couch together, the soft lights in the room creating a cozy atmosphere. We didn't need many words, just the gentle touch of hands and loving eyes were enough to understand each other. Lisa nestled into my arms, her hand gently stroking my arm, bringing a sense of warmth and security. I leaned down, placing a soft kiss on her forehead, then slowly pulled her closer. We embraced tightly, as if wanting to erase all distance, together enjoying the peace of this moment. So the first kiss was gentle, but then gradually became passionate and fiery. Each kiss was a silent word, expressing the deep love we had for each other. My hand slipped into Lisa's soft hair, while she wrapped her arms around my neck, pulling me closer. All the worries of everyday life faded away, the pressure of work disappeared, and tonight it was just us, together, lost in sweet, passionate moments. The gentle caresses on her back, the emotional touches, made time seem to stand still. We were both lost in a powerful connection, where only the presence of love existed. The next morning, as usual, I got ready for work, and Lisa was busy preparing her makeup kit for work. After the emotional and warm night before, I felt like I was overflowing with energy, my spirit more upbeat than ever. Even though I woke up early, I wasn't tired at all, actually more excited than usual. Maybe it was because I had been well fed both emotionally and physically the night before. As I arrived at school, the students immediately noticed my cheerful mood. They grinned mischievously, and a few started teasing me. "Wow, Mr. Leonard, you look extra chipper today. Did you have a good birthday?" one student said, trying to stifle a laugh. "Must have been a big surprise last night," another student chimed in, his voice loaded with innuendo. I just laughed, unable to hide my excitement. "Yeah, you guys really surprised me, but now, let's get to work, stop being silly." The whole group erupted in laughter. They thought I had promised to be easier on them today, but I knew I couldn't let them slack off. "But hey, you said you'd reconsider, right?" another student quickly asked, his face full of hope. I smirked, my smile never fading. "I did say I'd consider it, but everyone get ready to run 10 laps around the field." "Mr. Leonard, you said you'd reconsider," one kid yelled, his face falling. "Yeah, Mr. Leonard, we thought you'd go easy on us today," the whole group protested, each face scrunching up in disappointment. I crossed my arms, my smile never leaving my lips. I did reconsider, and I decided on 10 laps around the field. No exceptions. Let's go. There was no other choice. The kids started running, grumbling as they went. However, I knew, despite their complaining, they would always complete the task, and it was the best way to help them develop discipline and stamina. I watched them run, chuckling to myself, feeling that today was going to be positive, with a renewed spirit after a truly memorable birthday. And the morning went smoothly. After getting my students through their usual exercises and not forgetting to tease them about my birthday, I felt relieved that the day was going well. Coming home, I was relaxed and content, not just because of work, but also because of what Lisa had done for me the night before. As I opened the door, I heard Lisa talking from her workroom. I knew she was streaming, so I quietly stepped in, trying not to disturb her. A VTuber like Lisa is pretty pragmatic about her privacy. She always keeps her personal life secret from her fans, making sure no one sees me or gets any hints about her real life. I passed her room, just catching a glimpse through the crack in the door, seeing Lisa sitting in front of the screen, her 2D avatar moving fluidly. Her voice came out clearly, but with a captivating tone, reflecting the professionalism of someone used to talking to thousands of fans. "Oh, I have lots to talk about today, but it's just about daily stuff. What games have you guys been playing lately?" Lisa asked softly, her voice clear in the quiet house. I didn't want to interrupt her flow, so I quietly slipped into the kitchen and started cooking. Evenings are when Lisa focuses on her work and I take over the cooking, so when her live is over, we can have dinner together. While I was prepping the food, I could hear Lisa talking to her fans occasionally, creating a sense of intimacy but with strict boundaries. She shared small stories, told funny anecdotes, but always made sure not to reveal anything about her personal life. Sometimes I heard her giggle, making me smile too. And some people asked about behind-the-scenes stuff, but honestly, there are things I just can't reveal, so Lisa said, adding a playful laugh. I continued cooking, picturing Lisa working hard, and feeling lucky that we could understand each other, knowing how to divide our time between work and family life. When I finished the meal, I set the table, ready to wait for Lisa to finish her live stream so we could have a warm dinner together. The food was ready. I set it on the table and sat down to wait for Lisa to finish her stream. Usually she never worked overtime, and we'd eat right after. But tonight, time was passing slowly and her workroom door remained closed. So I sat there for a while, listening to Lisa's voice from the other side of the door, but it felt like the live was longer than normal. Initially, I thought she was just busy chatting with her fans, but as the clock ticked further past our usual dinner time, I started getting worried. The whole house was silent, except for my sighs and Lisa's voice coming through the closed door. Finally, I decided to get up and head towards her door. Careful not to make any noise, I gently pushed it open a crack and peeked inside. Just as I suspected, Lisa was engrossed in a special live stream. On the screen, her 2D avatar was running through dark hallways, facing terrifying creatures in a horror game. Lisa was completely focused on the screen, her hands flying across the controls, sometimes letting out soft yelps when she was startled by the game's jump scares. "Oh my gosh, this is so creepy. Has anyone played this? I didn't think it would be this scary." Her voice came through the headset, blending with the game's eerie soundtrack. She was completely immersed and seemed to have forgotten about time. I stood there, watching for a while, smiling to myself. Lisa was really enjoying it. She knew how to connect with her fans through the horror genre they loved. This made me remember that even though we have a happy private life, her VTuber work is a very important part of her life. I gently closed the door again, not wanting to interrupt her gaming session. She probably needs more time, I thought to myself, and went back to the kitchen, deciding to keep the dinner warm in the oven. If Lisa wanted to play a bit longer, that was fine. It took a long time, but Lisa finally ended her stream. As she stepped out of the room, her eyes looked a little tired but still sparkled with the joy of a successful gaming session. However, the moment she saw me sitting at the table waiting, the smile on her face faltered and a flicker of guilt crossed her eyes. "You haven't eaten yet?" Lisa asked, her voice laced with concern. She walked closer to the table, her hands gently rubbing my shoulders as if trying to apologize. "Why didn't you eat first? I know the live was a bit long." I smiled, looking at her with kindness. "It's okay. I wanted to wait to eat with you. It's all right if you're a little late." Lisa breathed a sigh of relief, but still couldn't hide a touch of guilt in her voice. "I'm sorry this horror game was longer than I thought. I didn't want to keep you waiting for so long." I shook my head, getting up to pull out a chair for her beside me. "It's really fine. I know you love your work, and I understand. But now, let's eat." I kept the food warm. We sat down at the table, a simple but cozy dinner awaiting us. Lisa looked at me with a grateful expression, probably because I had waited patiently without complaining. The mood quickly shifted to one of joy as we chatted about our day. I asked Lisa about the live stream, and she recounted the suspenseful moments, the scary jump scares she hadn't anticipated. "I had to yell a few times because of those monsters. If you'd seen it, you'd be laughing the whole time," Lisa said, laughing as she reminisced. I laughed loudly, looking at her with love. "If I'd watched, I probably wouldn't be laughing. I'd be worried about you." That late dinner wasn't just about enjoying the food, it was about sharing the warmth of love and understanding we had for each other. In those moments, I knew that no matter how busy Lisa got, the most important thing was that we always made time for each other, even if it was just a simple dinner like this. A couple of days later, Lisa had a collab with another VTuber over Discord. As usual, they both hid behind their 2D avatars, the way VTubers do to maintain privacy, and they were playing Among Us, a game full of strategy and humor. Lisa had told me beforehand that she had this collab, and I didn't think much of it, just saw it as a casual hangout with her VTuber colleagues. That evening, after dinner, I let Lisa go into her workroom to prepare for the live stream. while I went back to my own office to catch up on work. I knew once she started playing Among Us, it would be all about strategy and laughter. We had played this game together a few times, so I knew her sense of humor and how she navigated her avatar in the game. I was in my office and occasionally could hear Lisa's voice coming from the next room. She was laughing, chatting with her VTuber colleagues through Discord. Every time she got killed in the game, I could hear her yelp, "No, why me?" Her voice was always cute and dramatic, as usual, as she tried to get into character to make the live stream more entertaining. I chuckled to myself, feeling reassured that Lisa was still full of energy and passion for her work. Everything seemed perfectly normal, and I didn't pay too much attention to the collab. For me, it was just another one of many game sessions Lisa took part in with her VTuber friends, nothing to be worried about. The next morning when I went to school, a major announcement came out. The national volleyball tournament was coming up, and teams from all over would be competing. This immediately got me thinking about signing up our school's volleyball team, made up of the best students in the club. I knew that with their talent and effort, we had a real chance to compete and win. However, the competition was announced rather unexpectedly, and the training schedule was very tight. I decided I had to put in extra effort during training sessions, not just on technique, but also on their mindset. The volleyball team needed to be cohesive, and I knew that if I could instill confidence and a sense of teamwork, they could do it. I always told them, "Don't fear failure. We'll train hard and we'll win if we give it our all." But because of the intensive training schedule, I didn't have as much time for Lisa as before. I often came home late, exhausted after a long day on the training court. Despite that, whenever I got home, I found Lisa streaming, laughing happily with her fans on the big screen. She was still keeping up a steady work pace, full of energy, and that made me feel secure. Sometimes I would stop outside Lisa's door, listening to her familiar voice, the tinkling laughter, whenever there was a funny moment in the game or while interacting with her fans. So even though I couldn't spend as much time with her as before, knowing she was happy with her work made me feel at ease. We didn't talk much about our busy schedules because we both understood that sometimes work and personal goals had to be prioritized. Lisa understood that I was putting my heart and soul into helping the students prepare for the important tournament, and I understood that her VTuber work required consistency and regularity. Time flew by, and there were only 2 weeks left until the national volleyball tournament. Over the past month, my students had been training nonstop, putting their hearts into every practice. I knew by now pushing them further wouldn't do any good. Everything I could teach I had taught, and now the most important thing was keeping their spirits up, confident. After the last practice of the week, I stood in front of the entire team and looked at each familiar face. They had worked so hard. From their first runs on the court to their precise spikes, every moment showed their unwavering effort. "You've done an incredible job," I said, my voice full of pride. "Now the most important thing is to stay relaxed. I want us to go on a short trip before the tournament to de-stress. Consider it part of the preparation. What do you guys think?" The whole team was surprised, then immediately erupted in excitement. The students started laughing and joking, immediately discussing where they could go. So the excitement was clearly visible on each of their faces. I smiled, feeling relieved to see the positive spirit spreading throughout the team. When I got home, I told Lisa about it, mentioning the students' excitement. Lisa sat next to me, her eyes soft and understanding. She listened intently as I recounted the story, and when I finished, she smiled and said, "You've been a great coach, Leonard. The kids are lucky to have such a dedicated teacher. Go ahead and lead those kids. I'll take care of everything here. Don't worry about me." Looking at her, I felt incredibly lucky. Lisa was always a solid pillar of support, always understanding and encouraging of my work, no matter how busy we were. I leaned down, placing a gentle kiss on her forehead, a kiss full of gratitude. That night, we shared affectionate moments together. In her arms, I found peace and renewed motivation for the challenges ahead. The next morning, I woke up early and quietly packed my bag. Lisa stepped out of the room in her pajamas, leaning against the doorway, watching me as I got ready. Without saying a word, her eyes were full of love and encouragement. "Take care," she whispered, walking closer and helping me adjust my suitcase. "I'll be waiting for you. You're going to do great." I hugged her one last time, feeling like I didn't want to leave, but then I had to say goodbye. "I'll be back soon. Thanks for everything." After saying goodbye to Lisa, I left the house, my luggage in hand, my heart full of determination. I knew that not just me, but the entire team would give it our all to bring home the glory, and I also knew that no matter how far away I was, I would always have someone waiting and supporting me at home. We set off with the group of students on our relaxing trip, choosing the beach as our place to de-stress before the volleyball tournament. The atmosphere on the bus was full of excitement, laughter echoing all the way. Any tension seemed to fade away in the joy of the trip. The azure blue coastline appeared before us, bringing a sense of peace and freedom, a much-needed respite after weeks of intense training. The whole team rushed down to the beach, frolicking in the cool water. I stood back, watching, feeling proud that they were not just exceptional athletes, but kids who knew how to enjoy life. The gentle waves lapping at the shore, blending with the joyful laughter of the kids, created a scene full of fun and freshness. After a refreshing swim, we decided to climb the nearby mountain. Stone steps led us to the mountaintop, where we could see the entire coastline from above. It was not just a relaxing trip, but also a way for us to let go of worries and a more faith for the upcoming tournament. Standing before the shrine, we all stood in silence for a moment, folding our hands together, praying for the best possible results. The students took turns closing their eyes, sincerely wishing for success. As for me, I prayed not just for victory, but also that they would always maintain a spirit of unity, standing strong no matter the outcome. After praying, I went to the booth next to the shrine and bought a bag of good luck charms. I went to the volleyball team captain, a talented and responsible student. He seemed surprised when I put the bag of good luck charms in his hand. "All my hope and faith are in you and the whole team," I said, my voice serious but full of confidence. "This isn't just about winning, it's about your spirit. Lead your team with all your heart and passion." The captain's eyes lit up when he received the bag, as if feeling the weight of the trust I had placed in him. The whole team crowded around, and we high-fived each other, yelling in unison, "Fight! Bring the trophy home!" The roar echoed through the vast mountain scenery, blending with the sea breeze like a powerful oath. I looked at the faces of the students, full of enthusiasm, my heart swelling with pride. We had prepared everything, both mentally and physically. This trip wasn't just about relaxation, it was about solidifying the team's confidence and determination. I knew with this spirit we would enter the competition with all our might and self-assurance. A few days after our relaxing beach trip, I made sure to call Lisa frequently. Each time I called, she was always laughing happily, telling me to just focus on coaching the team, that she had everything handled at home. Lisa's encouragement, along with her smiles through the phone screen, made me feel more confident and relaxed. Then the big day arrived, and I traveled with the students to the city hosting the tournament. The atmosphere on the train was a mix of excitement and nervousness. The whole team chatted and joked, but deep down there was an undeniable tension. When the train stopped at the city station, we quickly made our way to the stadium, where volleyball teams from all over had gathered. Stepping into the competition area, the atmosphere became more intense. We quickly recognized our formidable opponents' teams that had won trophies over the years. The teams all looked strong, experienced, and it made a few of my students start worrying. I could see their hesitation and fear creeping into their eyes. I was about to say something to reassure them and boost their spirits, but unexpectedly, Leo, the volleyball team captain, whom I had placed a lot of trust in, stood up and walked to the front of the team. He looked at everyone with determined eyes, his voice filled with energy. "There's nothing to be afraid of. We've been training hard for months. No matter how strong our opponents are, no matter the outcome, the most important thing is that we fight side by side. Winning or losing isn't everything, it's our unity." The team fell silent for a few seconds, then one by one, they nodded in agreement. Determination spread, and I could feel the tense atmosphere easing somewhat. The eyes that had been full of worry now held a steely glint, ready to face the challenge ahead. I stood behind them, listening to Leo's powerful words. A wave of emotion washed over me. Leo, whom I had entrusted with the captaincy, had truly matured. He wasn't just a good player, but a real leader, someone who could spark a team spirit, bring everyone closer. I stepped forward, placing a hand on Leo's shoulder and smiling. "You're absolutely right. I'm proud of you, and I believe we'll do our best, not for the trophy but for ourselves." Leo looked up at me, then the whole team walked into the stadium together. The initial tension had disappeared, replaced by excitement and determination. I could feel that, no matter how difficult the challenge ahead, our team would enter the competition with full faith and fighting spirit, and that was the most important thing. The first round began, and the atmosphere in the stadium was tense with anticipation. Our team faced a school with a reputation no less impressive, a fairly even opponent. My students stepped onto the court with a strong, focused spirit, each volley flying back and forth between the two sides like powerful, calculated strikes. Both teams were evenly matched, neither giving an inch. The game lasted longer than expected, and the scores remained close. Every time we scored a point, our opponents would even it out right after. When the final whistle blew, the final score was still tied, with neither team winning outright. Our team, while not defeated, also didn't win. A glimmer of disappointment crossed the faces of the students. Some even sat down on the floor, sighing after a hard-fought match. I walked towards the team, looking at each face, smudged with sweat, and the fatigue evident in their eyes. But instead of showing disappointment, I offered a smile and gently said, "You all did great. Don't let this outcome affect your spirits. A tie is a fitting result for such a tense game. Be proud of what you showed today. The most important thing now is to rest up and conserve your energy for the upcoming games." The students gradually got up, a few offering relieved smiles as they heard me speak. I knew there might be a slight disappointment deep inside them, but seeing how hard they had fought throughout the match, I couldn't fault them. The effort they put in all game long showed their dedication. Tomorrow will be a new day, and we'll keep moving forward. I patted each student on the shoulder, encouraging their spirits. "Now, let's go rest, you need to refuel." Then we left the stadium together and found a nearby hotel to stay the night. While not a luxury hotel, it was enough. All we needed was a place to rest and recharge. So students quickly unpacked their bags in their rooms, exhausted after a long day, but no longer weighed down by the initial anxiety. I felt relieved to see them starting to regain their spirits, ready for the games to come. 3 or 4 days later, we were back at the stadium, this time with steadier spirits, so my students had regained their confidence after the initial tie. The atmosphere at the stadium was more intense than ever today, with an announcement that of the initial 16 teams, only 9 would advance, including our school. This time, the opponent was another strong school, known for their exceptional individual skills. When I observed their lineup on the court, what caught my attention wasn't their skill, but how they played lacking in teamwork and cohesion. The team members didn't seem to be connecting well with each other, each person seemingly focused on their own individual performance. It made me curious, wondering how they had won their previous matches. The match began, and just as I had predicted, even though the opponent had powerful attacks and skills, the lack of cohesion between the players resulted in constant mistakes. My students, on the other hand, worked together seamlessly, always moving to the right position and supporting each other. Each precise pass, each powerful spike was executed thanks to their smooth cooperation. The score gradually tilted in our favor, and before I knew it, the scoreboard showed a convincing score of 2-5-1-8, with our team emerging victorious. When the final whistle blew, I saw genuine smiles on the faces of my students. This was the moment I knew they were truly proud of what they had achieved. However, I also noticed that despite their victory, none of them appeared arrogant or complacent. Instead, the whole team went over to shake hands with the opponents, displaying true sportsmanship. "What do you think you learned from this game?" I asked when the whole team returned to the rest area. Leo, the captain, looked at me with a bright but calm smile, then replied, "Mr. Leonard, I think we learned from both the victory and the opponent. They had some really beautiful spikes, but they lacked teamwork. If we can combine that skill with our team spirit, we'll go even further." I nodded, proud of Leo's mature thinking. That's right. Every game is a lesson. Whether we win or lose, it's important to learn and improve. After this first win, I decided to take the team out to celebrate. We found a nearby skewer restaurant, not too far from the stadium. The students laughed and joked, relaxing after the stressful days. I sat and watched them enjoy their fun, feeling proud not only of their achievements but also of the team spirit they had maintained throughout the journey. "This celebration isn't just for the win," I said to the team as everyone sat down at the table, "but also for the effort and teamwork you've shown. So this is just the beginning. We have more games ahead. But I believe with this spirit, we'll continue to go far." The team cheered, full of determination and excitement. The fragrant skewers were brought out, and the victory celebration was a lively one, recharging their energy for the journey ahead. The following week, our volleyball team focused not just on physical training and technique, but also on studying their opponents. We sat together in the locker room, watching other teams' games on TV, meticulously recording each opponent's strategy. These detailed analyses became an important part of our preparation, helping my students understand each team's strengths and weaknesses, enabling us to create a plan for the upcoming semifinals. So the final round of the quarterfinals was approaching, and our team had to face the volleyball team of Michael, a coach, considered the best, who had led his team to countless wins. Michael's team was not only known for exceptional individual skills, but also had the nickname the Ankle Breakers for their ability to slowly suffocate their opponents. From the moment the game began, we felt the challenge. Michael's team played very aggressively and was extremely well organized. Our team was under immense pressure, and the worst part was, in the first round, we couldn't score a single point. Our opponents constantly pressured us, and my team committed several net violations. I saw worry etched on the students' faces, and when the whistle blew to end the first round, the whole team went into the break with low spirits. I knew what I had to do right then. In the locker room, I pulled the team together and started discussing strategy. Guys, don't let this game defeat us. I know the opponent is very strong, but we can't let them dominate us like this, I said, trying to keep my voice calm to encourage their spirits. Look at their player number 25. He's the chess master of their team. Every time the ball goes to him, their team scores. If we can neutralize number 25, we have a chance. Leo, the team captain, sat beside me, listening quietly and nodding. You're right, Mr. Leonard, we have to stop him, but how do we prevent him from touching the ball? We'll adjust our formation slightly, I answered, quickly sketching out a new strategy. Watch his movements carefully and try to block the passes going to number 25. Our defense must be solid and flexible, forcing their setters to find other options. It might be tough at first, but if you stay focused, we have a chance. The team listened carefully and agreed to try the new strategy. When the next round started, we tried to adjust our formation as discussed. However, things didn't go smoothly initially. Player number 25 of the opposing team continued to dominate the match, scoring continuously with powerful and accurate spikes. Within 20 minutes, the opponent had scored another 6 points, putting us in a tight spot. But instead of giving up, my team started observing more carefully and gradually adjusting their tactics. After understanding player number 25's movement patterns and anticipating the passes, we started to contain his power. My students focused on defense, preventing number 25 from easily touching the ball. The play gradually shifted to our advantage, and slowly the opponent began to lose their direction. Unseen. As the game entered its crucial stage, my team finally turned the tables. Our spikes became more powerful, our plays more precise, and the opponents started making mistakes. The entire team gained confidence and aggression, continuing to pressure the opponent. In the final moments of suspense, the score tilted in our favor, and when the decisive spike was executed, our team officially won with a score of 2-5-2-4. As the final whistle blew, radiant smiles appeared on the faces of my students. They had done it not only defeating a strong opponent, but also exceeding their own limits. So after a few days of rest and practice, the semifinals arrived. The whole team was ready for the big game. However, when we reached the stadium, the atmosphere was unusual. Our opponent, the team we had prepared to face, didn't show up. The organizers announced they had withdrawn from the tournament at the last minute, without explanation. This meant our team advanced directly to the finals without playing. Even though our opponent's withdrawing was fortunate, my team understood that the greatest challenge still lay ahead, the finals. Our opponent this time was a renowned school for athletics, consistently topping the list for years. They were strong in both physical and technical skills, which put significant pressure on our team. On the day of the decisive game, we entered the opponent's home stadium, where the atmosphere was extremely lively. So the stands were packed, with thousands watching from television and from all over. So the cheers of the opposing team's fans were deafening, and their players stood on the other side of the court, constantly taunting and provoking. Looking at them, I couldn't help but notice their superior physique, all tall and muscular, like solid walls. My team stood on the other side of the court, a hint of worry appearing on the faces of the students. A few started feeling the heavy pressure as they looked at the opposing team. Especially when provocative taunts from the opponent rang out, some of my students got riled up, but they tried to stay calm. Leo, the captain, tried to reassure his teammates, reminding everyone that this was the final match, and they couldn't let those words affect their fighting spirit. Under the bright stadium lights, the TV cameras began to pan slowly across the scene as both teams took the court, ready for the showdown. The referee's whistle blew, and the finals began. The cheers from the audience grew louder, making the atmosphere in the stadium extremely tense. The match began with powerful serves from the opponent. My students tried to respond but still struggled with the initial nervousness. The opposing team, with its powerful physique, constantly pressured us, creating dangerous attacks. Each spike from their side felt like a sledgehammer, powerful and sharp. The audience roared with every point their team scored, amplifying the pressure. However, what made me proud was that my team didn't give in. After every time they were ahead, my students reminded each other to stay strong. Leo, as captain, constantly encouraged his teammates. "We didn't come here to give up," he said, his voice strong. "We've been training and fighting for this moment. Remember, our teamwork and unity are our most powerful weapons." Little by little, my students started to find their stability. They didn't try to match their opponent's strength but focused on their technique and cooperation. Precise passes and graceful spikes started to challenge the opponent. Despite immense pressure, my team persisted and didn't let the opponent's strong attacks shake their resolve. Under the gaze of thousands of eyes, the game continued intensely and fiercely. My students overcame their initial hesitation, playing their hearts out under the pressure of the audience and the cameras. This wasn't just a sports game, it was a test of their courage and team spirit. The finals had reached its most crucial stage, where every mistake could be costly. But with their resilience and determination, my team knew they wouldn't give up until the final ball dropped. The finals continued, tension escalating with each volley. The opponent, with their superior technique and physique, kept pushing my team. However, when the opposing team's number 2 player unleashed a powerful spike, I felt something was wrong. The ball flew straight and hit the nose of our number 14 player, an unexpected hit that made me jump up and worry. Player number 14 fell back. His nose started bleeding. My heart ached in injustice, but the referee only gave the opponent a yellow card, considering it a minor foul. Number 14, despite the pain, got up. He quickly wiped his nose with a towel, trying to force a smile to reassure the team and me. "I'm fine, Mr. Leonard," he said, his voice firm despite his grimace. His eyes locked onto the opposing team, sharp as a newly lit fire. Clearly, player number 14's determination had never been so strong. Player number 14, after the hit to his nose and the newfound resolve, suddenly exploded. He continuously scored with powerful, precise spikes. The opposing team, from being confidently smug to being shocked, seemed to lose their direction. He became the center of every attack, dragging the whole team with him into an aggressive rhythm. However, when the score reached 2-0, the opposing team sensed something was wrong and quickly changed their positions. They started focusing their effort, and within just a few minutes, they had scored 2 more points while we were still at 20. Just 1 more point, and they could end the game. My team seemed frustrated, some faces started showing worry and fatigue. But just then, Leo, the captain, stood up, looked directly at the team and said, "We can't give up now. We've fought to get here, we're not going to lose. Mr. Leonard has faith in us, and we won't let him down. We can still turn this around, just a little more effort." Leo's words lifted the team's spirit. The students clenched their fists, their eyes shining again. They held their positions and started attacking more aggressively. We quickly scored 2 points, closing the gap to 2-2. The game became more dramatic than ever, and the referee decided to add 15 minutes of extra time, as the game was so intense. Under the passionate cheers of the audience, each volley was executed with immense pressure. Both teams understood that every small mistake could cost them the championship. However, after the opponent scored 2 more points, my students began to understand their playing style and movements. They quickly mimicked their style and did the same, but with more finesse and better cooperation. The game seemed to stretch into eternity, with attacks and counterattacks happening continuously, making the audience and TV viewers hold their breath. But my team didn't give up, each player giving it their all with whatever energy remained. And then, in a perfect moment, after a powerful spike from player number 14, our team officially scored the 25th point first, ending the match with a breathtaking victory. The final whistle blew, ending the game. The entire stadium erupted in applause and cheers. My team hugged each other tightly, tears streaming down the students' faces. No one could believe they had done it, they had won. Overcoming every obstacle and defeating a powerful opponent, the championship was finally ours. I stood on the sidelines, unable to contain my emotions. My heart pounded, my eyes stinging. My students, the ones I had coached, with whom I had experienced every tense moment, had achieved something incredible. I walked over, embracing Leo and number 14, my tears finally spilling over. The applause from the audience resonated, and in that moment, I knew that all the effort and sacrifice had been worth it. As my students received the championship trophy, a surge of pride filled my heart. Standing on the sidelines, I watched my students cheering in victory, holding the prestigious trophy. Their radiant faces, the tears of overwhelming joy, made me smile uncontrollably. This was a glorious moment, not just for them but for me as well, the one who had walked with them through each step, each intense game. Fast forward to that glorious moment. On the way back to the city, the atmosphere on the bus was full of excitement. The students laughed and joked, recounting their impressive plays and constantly discussing how to celebrate the win. I sat in the front, feeling a sense of lightness and joy as well. My initial plan was to throw a big party to celebrate the victory, a well-deserved reward for all their effort throughout this difficult journey. However, as I was thinking about the celebration plans, my phone buzzed. I picked it up, not thinking much of it at first, but when the voice on the other end spoke, my expression changed instantly. My eyes grew tense, my hand gripping the phone tightly. The brief conversation was enough to make me restless and anxious. After ending the call, I urgently said to the driver, "Pull over, please." The driver looked at me in surprise, but still followed my request, slowing the car down and pulling over to the side of the road. The loud, festive atmosphere on the bus suddenly fell silent. My students seemed to sense something amiss. Leo and a few others looked at me with confused eyes. "I have something urgent to take care of," I said quickly, trying to keep my voice calm. "You guys go ahead and celebrate for now. I'm so sorry I can't join you right now." A wave of surprise washed over the bus. "Mr. Leonard, is something wrong?" Leo asked, his face filled with concern. I forced a small smile, though my heart was still racing. "Everything is fine. You guys enjoy the celebration. This is your day. I'll catch up with you later." I quickly got out of the bus and immediately hired another car nearby. My heart pounded in my chest as I pressed down on the gas, racing back home. Something serious was waiting for me, and though many things were still unclear, I knew I had to return immediately. The happy sounds of my students faded behind me, but in my mind there was only worry and restlessness, constantly thinking about the call I had received. In the taxi, I couldn't shake my worries, urging the driver to go faster. Each minute dragged on, and the feeling in my chest intensified like a storm about to break. Within a few hours, including the traffic, I was in front of my house. My heart was pounding in my chest, my hand gripping the doorknob tightly. The urgent call from Joy, my best friend, kept echoing in my head. He had warned me about a rumor, saying Lisa, my wife, was having a secret relationship with another VTuber. So on the way home, I couldn't resist curiosity and looked up the video Joy mentioned. The video replayed the live stream like a bucket of cold water splashed over me. Lisa's 2D avatar appeared on the screen, along with another male VTuber. I knew that Lisa playing games and interacting with other VTubers was part of her work, and I always respected that boundary. But then suddenly in the video, both virtual characters disappeared, and Lisa's real image along with the man appeared on the screen as if some technical glitch had occurred. At that moment, I saw Lisa in real life, no longer hidden behind the 2D avatar. She was sitting next to a man, not a virtual character, but a real person. What made my heart clench was the sight of him affectionately stroking her hair. It felt like the whole world was crashing down around me. Everything inside me became chaotic. Why was Lisa with this man? And how did her real image get leaked like this? I stepped into the house, my hand trembling as I unlocked the door. All I wanted now was an explanation. The door swung open, and the inside of the house was eerily silent. I felt like the air around me was frozen, my chest feeling tight. The images from the video kept replaying in my head, blurring everything and making me uneasy. I opened the door, stepping into the house, and called out Lisa's name in a worried tone. Footsteps sounded from the living room, and then Lisa appeared. She still had her face mask on, and a hint of surprise crossed her eyes when she saw me back earlier than expected. "You're home already?" Lisa smiled, walking towards me. "I was just watching the finals on TV. Congrats to you and the team, you guys were amazing." However, that was not what I was focused on at that moment. The images in the video kept playing in my head. I couldn't pretend like nothing had happened. Without saying a word, I took out my phone, opened the video Joy had sent, and showed it to Lisa. The image paused at the disastrous moment when her true identity was exposed on the livestream, a brief moment, but enough for thousands to see Lisa and the man. Lisa looked at the screen, her eyes wide with surprise. The face beneath her white mask turned stiff. She furrowed her eyebrows, then awkwardly turned to me, her voice trembling. You know him? He's just a friend." Lisa's whole body became tense, and I could clearly see the mixture of surprise and worry in her voice. The moment on the video only lasted a few seconds, but it was enough to shatter my peace. I stood there waiting for a more convincing explanation, but everything in my head was circling around the intimate scene one had just witnessed. I stood there, feeling like everything around me was crumbling. When I asked if her friend knew that Lisa and I were married, she hesitated. Her eyes darted back and forth, and after a few tense seconds she replied hesitantly. Her words only made my heart heavier. She had never publicly disclosed her marriage since becoming a VTuber. The entire atmosphere felt suffocating, her words like sharp blades piercing my heart. I stood there, looking directly at her, but the discomfort continued to rise. Recent videos of Lisa popped up in my mind, the Among Us sessions, the interactions with fans, all with this man. I remembered the excited comments, fans unconsciously shipping them, commenting on their sweetness. Lisa hung her head, her eyes filled with confusion and panic. She didn't seem to realize how far things had gone. In that moment, the room grew eerily silent, and in the empty spaces, a clear truth emerged. I no longer knew where I stood in her life. I stood there, looking into Lisa's panicked eyes, my heart heavy with disappointment and hurt. Things had gone too far, and now I knew it wasn't the fans' fault, nor the man's. They were all just innocent bystanders drawn into the situation. But Lisa, she was the one who had chosen to hide everything, creating an unbridgeable gap between us. I didn't say anything more. Instead, I felt it was time for me to act, to free myself from this entanglement. I sat down at the desk, opened my laptop, and started writing a long post, and exposed not just to reveal the truth, but also for Lisa to face what she had done. It was time for her to learn about her own fickleness and realize how her seemingly innocent actions had hurt others. Each word on the screen were the words I had been holding back for so long. I recounted what I had gone through, the hurt of knowing that the person I loved was keeping our relationship in the shadows. I talked about Lisa's deceit, about how she never acknowledged her marriage to the public, while letting her fans build illusions about a beautiful romance between her and the other man. When I finished, I felt like a part of my burden had been lifted. I knew this could create a storm for Lisa, but that was no longer my concern. I had to free myself, and sometimes the truth had to be exposed, no matter how painful. I closed the laptop, stood up, and walked out of the house. The sound of the door closing behind me echoed like a confirmation, no turning back. It was time for me to regain my freedom, to walk away from the lies Lisa had built. As for her, she would have to face the truth and the consequences of her choices.